Every character in Strinova is getting a brand new tactical skill. Let's dive in right after a quick disclaimer. All footage is from the test server, and while the devs may tweak some skills, the Chinese version has had them live for a while, so changes should be minimal. These skills are currently only available in escort mode, but an experimental Demolition 2.0 mode on the Chinese server lets players use them there too. So expect to see tactical skills in Demolition mode soon. Michele has a pretty cool tactical skill, so let's show hers off first. Michele is going to have the ability to place another little bot that has a pretty gigantic AoE, and when she sets it off after a small delay, everyone in the area is going to get silenced. The silence is going to last about 6 or 7 seconds. You can only have one of them out on the field at a time, and the cooldown is going to be 35 seconds. Most of these tactical skills are around 30-second cooldowns, so these are like big impact, big cooldown skills. By the way, if you have any extra questions about any of these abilities, just let me know down in the comments. I'll either test it out and give you your answer, or maybe I already did test it out, but I just didn't think it was super worth putting it into this already kind of long video. Either way, just let me know down in the comments if you have a question, but you gotta like the video, or else I'm not gonna answer your question. Just kidding, I'll answer it. I'm not even gonna know if you liked, but please like the video, thank you. Leona actually got a little bit of a buff this patch. She can place down more blocks and a couple other things. We'll talk about that in a future video. Today we just want to know that her tactical skill lets her place down one-way glass that only she and her team can shoot through. She can rotate this glass to be either horizontal or vertical. I don't really know why you'd want it to be horizontal, but hey, there's the option. As you can see, these new panels are going to be intangible, so you can walk right through it. Your team can shoot right through it, but again, the enemies have to break it in order to shoot through it. And it's going to be really similar to her ultimate, where the blocks become things that you can walk through, but only her team can shoot through them. Next up, we've got Yvette. I like her tactical skill a lot, but first, check this update to her passive. Now you can actually move and jump just a little bit without breaking your invisibility. Now, if you double jump, you're going to break the invisibility. If you move too much, you're going to break the invisibility. If you stringify and if you aim down sight, those are all going to break the invisibility. But if someone's like getting a little bit too close, they're about to enter the range where they can see you invis, then you can just move a little bit. Kind of cool. Or maybe you can just run slightly, really slowly across the map, be some kind of crazy ninja. I don't know, do whatever you want. Her actual tactical skill is why we're here, so let's take a look. She drops a absolutely massive pillar into the battlefield. It has 1000 HP, and you can't walk through it, obviously. You see that little bot, he tried to run through it, it's impossible. Enemies who are too close to the pillar are going to have a vulnerability on them, and they're going to have a chance to do a little slip and slide. If you try to place it where there's a person or a summon already, it's just going to immediately explode and give you absolutely no value, so make sure you don't do that. This reminds me a ton of Leona, where you're just going to be able to warp the battlefield to give yourself a really advantageous right side peek, defensive position, anywhere that you want it to be. By the way, you are going to be able to stand on top of this structure. I'm sure if you're an enemy, you're going to just slip all over it, but if you're an ally, then feel free to stand on it and have some fun with that. Next up, we've got Kokona, who is my favorite character to play in the game. You see like a kind of a black splotch at the center of this ability. That's because I accidentally left this chroma key setting on. Basically, anything that's bright green gets turned black instead. You know, I fixed that since then, but in this footage, everything that was supposed to be bright green is actually just black. So this tactical skill has a pretty gigantic AoE, and every teammate in that AoE is going to have their health restored, not the shields. You're going to see that this bot's shields do slightly tick up over time, but that is because of the shield change to the whole game overall, where every character is going to have 2 armor regen no matter what. Everybody really loves playing around armor regen, so everybody in the game was pretty much picking light regen armor, and the devs said, okay, fine, if you love light regen so much, then how about we just put a light amount of regen on you all the time. Here, I'm trying to spam the ability to see if it's healing the shield, and I'm pretty sure it's not. It's just healing HP. That's all these things do. Either way, it's going to be really nice to have this for your team to fight inside of and have that little bit of HP regen going on at all times. Nobunaga, or as my friends like to call him, Nobugaga. He's going to be able to set down this trip sensor thing where once an enemy walks into the area, it's going to boop, trip, and start doing AoE damage to everything in that area. It won't hurt Nobu's teammates, but it will hurt Nobu himself. And right here, I'm just testing out how vertical that hitbox is to see, how far down above or up. Wait, down below it or up above it you can be and still get hit. And it turns out you can be pretty far down below it and it'll still hurt you. And I'm assuming the same is true for up above it as well. Flavia has kind of a funny one. Not unlike a squid, she's going to have the ability to release a cloud of smoke that defends herself from being seen by enemies. If you try to cast this while she's in the middle of her dismissal butterfly state, then it is going to cancel that dismiss to cast this spell. I don't know how useful this is going to be because usually attackers have a lot of different ways to scan and see people through the smoke, but you can do this little trick where you peek out the edge of the smoke, I guess. Maybe that's worth something. It doesn't actually do damage to enemies either. You're literally just in a little dome for yourself. Yugiri's ability is basically a molly. It only does shield damage, but when she throws it out, it'll explode and drop this icky purple stuff on the ground that corrodes shields. This damage is going to be able to stack with the damage from her regular snail puff cloud. As you can see, this enemy who's standing in both the puff cloud and the puddle loses his armor faster than the guy who's just in the puff cloud. Next, we got Mara, the new character in the building. We're going to have to make a separate video just talking about everything about this character, but for now, her tactical skill makes it so whenever she is stringified, she becomes invisible. Kind of like Yvette, where only people who are within a certain range are going to be able to see her. If her ultimate is up at the same time when she casts her C ability, then the range that people can have to be in to be able to see her while she's stringified is super duper small. Once you get your own hands on this character, feel free to have fun with all this invisibility. Fragrance's ability is nothing too special. It's basically a glorified heal nade. It's got a bigger AoE, it heals faster and heals more than a heal nade. But it's still just a heal nade. That's all it is. Ming got a flash. It flies out kind of like her Q. It just goes in a straight direction and you reactivate it to make it actually explode. Once you reactivate it, there's a small delay before it explodes, and during that delay, it can actually be shot down, kind of like the ball that Flavia has. I don't know what the name of it is, but when she blinds you, there's a ball that you can shoot at to make the flash go away. You're going to be able to break Ming's flash as well. And you are going to be able to turn away from the flash, as you saw the bot where the flash was behind him. He didn't get blinded for as long. The bots who were looking right at the thing were blinded for the full duration. Meredith's tactical skill is a way for her to cut off lines of sight. It's a pretty big circle, so it's not really the same as a smoke. Like, people who are in it are still kind of going to be able to fight each other, but if you throw it off in the distance, you'll be able to cut off some long line of sight or something, whatever you deem necessary. It does not give you the updraft. Even when you have her Awaken 1, it's not going to make you float up the same way her Q spell does. Lawine and Ming must be best friends because they pretty much got the exact same tactical skill as each other. They pretty much both got a copy of their Q ability, but instead it flashes people and it is destructible. If you're looking at it, it'll flash you for longer. It's the same as what Ming got. There's nothing wrong with that. It's going to be probably really good for them, going to help them for their approaches, and they are attackers, so they should probably be approaching. The Reiichi skill literally made me laugh out loud when I saw it. It seems like it's going to be really strong. So you place this straight wall that moves forward out in front of you. That's going to be really good because it kind of lets you like isolate people who are doubled up with their allies. If there's someone in the far back and someone else in the front, then this wall is slowly going to reveal the people in front before those in the back. This is going to be super great for Reiichi on attack. The part that made me LOL is how huge this thing is. I was trying to see, like, okay, what if I try to do this from safe behind cover? Will it still extend out super far to the side? Yes, it does. Oh my gosh, this thing is huge. What the fuck? The Konami skill is really fun to play around with in the range. I'm not super sure how good it's going to be. So basically, it's a mega wind nade, another glorified nade, right? It's a mega wind nade, and actually, whenever an ally gets hit by this wind nade, they get a burst of speed. So when enemies get hit by it, they can't do anything. They're locked into stringifying and floating for a little bit. But your allies, I mean, yeah, you got to stringify too, but you also get to float really fast. So it's going to be kind of like Juno in Overwatch, where you just make your whole team actually float up in the air, and you're just out with the clout. You're flying towards the site at light speed, or maybe you could use it as an escape option. You can try to use it, on enemies who are trying to rush you, and maybe either just like make them get stuck in a hallway and run away, or you could, if you're right under them, then you kind of have a decent angle on shooting them in the head. So yeah, this one fun to play around with. Gotta try it out before I really know if it's good. Eika got something kind of decent, some much needed range in her kit. She basically gets to shoot an exploding fireball. It does like 40 damage when it lands. If they are stringified, it does more damage, and if she has her bar full, then she gets to shoot the blue fire version, which does 60 damage. It flies out kind of slow, but honestly, with Eika, you just gotta be glad that they gave you any range at all. Galatea is another one I had kind of a strong reaction to as I was recording. Basically, she can throw out a trick version of her Q card. Instead of being able to teleport to this one, it's a flash. It looks exactly the same as the Q cards that she teleports to. It's just when enemies try to kill it, it flashes them instead. That seems super cool. I cannot wait to see the tricky plays that people do with this. Yo.
Head over there.
Yeah. Yeah. Maddelena is the younger sister of Galatea, and oh my gosh, are these sisters bringing the heat with these tactical skills. So Maddelena basically kind of has something really similar to that Reiichi wall. It's going to be super great for pushing in and taking space away from your enemies, because it's like, slowly, it's like a slow wall moving back, blocking the vision of people behind it. And it's actually even better because it slows people that it goes through. This one looks super good. This is the footage at the beginning of the game where I was showing you some escort gameplay. This is the character that I played because I'm like, this one looks freaking cool and fun. The range, basically, it doesn't stop until the center of the ball gets blocked by something. So even if like the edge or the bottom, whatever, gets blocked out by something, it's just still going to keep on floating, slowing everything that it goes through. The description says that it slows enemies, it stops them from stringifying, and it also leaves their footprint trail behind, kind of like when she shoots at an enemy, she marks their tracks. It doesn't seem to be marking their tracks, so I don't know if that's a mistranslation or if that's a bug, but either way, just the fact that it's basically a slow moving forward wall for your team to push behind, and it slows people who get hit by it. Oh my gosh, this one, it seems great. I want to show you my live reaction to this one too, because it's probably the funniest of them all, but I also want to explain like what's going through my mind. Like, why is this guy reacting like this? Like, at first, I pulled out the ability, and I'm like, wait, why does it look like I just pulled out her ult? What just happened? And then, like, your perspective on the paint bubble, like, at first, you don't realize how big it is until, like, it moves away from you, and you kind of take a step to the side, and you're like, wait, this thing is gigantic. Huh? The Celestia tactical skill is nothing to write home about. It's kind of like Fragrans. It's just a glorified heal nade, except this is a armor nade. Kind of cool. If the person who you throw it at already has full armor, then it'll actually give them overshields too. So hey, that's kind of nice, I guess. Audrey's tactical is one that I kind of had to play around with to figure out what exactly is going on. So basically, you throw it down and it scans everything inside the area. Even if it's through a wall, they will get scanned just very momentarily. And it also tells you how many enemies are inside of the range of its scanner. And so what happens now is anytime an enemy walks into it, it will rescan that specific enemy and tell you how many enemies are still inside of its range. Now, only when you're walking in. When you walk out, you don't get rescanned. Fuchsia's tactical is very different from the others. Maybe you remember at the beginning of the video, I said most of these tactical skills are big impact, long cooldown spells, but Fuchsia is kind of not the opposite, because it still feels pretty big impact, but it's not long cooldown, and it's actually really high uptime. Let's cut to the chase. What does this skill actually do? She presses it, and she just gets a fat speed buff. You can see the way I'm just like jumping all over these enemies. My movement isn't even the most crispy clean. Like, you can just be all over these people, and like, I don't know, if I had a sped up Fuchsia jumping around on me like this, I would be like, what the heck? How am I supposed to track her? And it's really high uptime, so it's a 15-second cooldown, but it lasts for, it's like 10 seconds, maybe 10.5 seconds. So it's only for like 5 seconds that you don't have this speed buff. Now, it does come at a cost. This is the only one that actually costs not just a cooldown, but also her HP. It costs her 30 HP to use this ability, but her whole kit revolves around getting kills on people and then getting that HP back. She even buffs her own max HP when she gets her first kill. So, I mean, that drawback doesn't seem too bad, especially if you're just moving on them whenever you press it for the next 10 seconds, and then 5 seconds after it ends, you get to press it again. Bai Mo got a really good skin this patch, but his tactical skill, I don't know. I feel like it's one of the worst ones. Like, he just makes it so the people that he throws a little nade at can't stringify for a little bit. He already had the ability to make people not be able to stringify whenever he hits them with his main weapon. But I don't know. Whatever. Cool skin though. It has some really funny voice line. He's like, "Are you sure you're not inting?" And I think one of the lines he can do when he gets a kill is, "Yeah, like and subscribe." That's awesome. I feel like I should play this character just so he advertises my channel for me. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Sorry about that chroma key thing. Like, everything that's supposed to be bright green is actually black. So if you see any weird things that are like, wait, why is that black? It's because it was supposed to be bright green. If you have any extra questions about the abilities, how they work, what are the restrictions, let me know down in the comments. Maybe I already tested it and I can immediately let you know. Or if I didn't, then I will go test it and then I'll let you know. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.